Today on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we are covering the free agent running backs and wide receivers.
And Saquon.
It's time for Garbage Time. And welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. I am your host, Ron Seymour, joined today, as always, by Joseph McCann. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm here.
He's here.
I'm here, guys. Ron, let's do this.
I almost choked on an M&M.
So, Ron, what do we got for these guys tonight?
All right, we got the news, and then we are going to talk about the free agents for the running back and wide receiver positions, and we will discuss potential landings for where we think they would be.
I kind of like that. And where can you find this show if you happen to like the shit that we give you?
Well, if you happen to like this shit, we're right here on YouTube, baby. Right at Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Go over to our website, www.garbagetimeft.com. You'll see everywhere we're available over there, such places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Tunein Radio, Iheartradio, all the radios. Make sure when you're over on our website, www.garbagetimeft.com, make sure you leave us a voicemail or a hate mail just saying how horrible I am at reading all these. Leave a review over there. Any review, 5-star because we're amazing and you know it, or 1-star because I suck at doing all this. Did I miss anything, Joe?
Yeah, I'd say feel free to leave a review on Spotify now, too. They're also doing ratings, and we would love a 5-star review on there, too.
Oh, they're doing reviews now?
They are. So pop us a 5-star rating on Spotify if you listen to us on that forum. We really want to hear it. So with that, let's get into the news.
That's my favorite forum.
Yes.
News updates.
All right, with free agency right around the corner, we have a plethora of news and stories and rumors we could talk about tonight, but let's get into the biggest one that broke just a few hours ago. This one hasn't been able to marinate with Ron Seymour very long, so I want to see his initial thoughts on this. The Giants GM came out and said he would take any offers, at least listen to them, for players such as Saquon Barkley. What's your thoughts about the Giants potentially trading him? Do you think it's possible? And does this make sense for fantasy football?
I mean, I kind of thought, I believe I said something in the middle of the year that I didn't think Barkley would be on the Giants this upcoming season. I don't want to say we're in a rebuild because I don't know if we can even call it that. It's just a build. Because we haven't been shit for like 3 years, 4 years, something like that. We are under the cap at the moment. So we need to free up a lot of money. I'm just really hoping they give this the new GM and head coach a few years to put together a team. You know what I mean? We're not doing anything this year. We're just not.
It's kind of interesting that this report came out because earlier in the day, too, there was a report talking about them not extending Saquon Barkley further. So this kind of just furthers that rumor, too. They're not denying any of this. And on top of that, too, they're talking about not giving Daniel Jones his fifth-year option. So they're really out on a ledge here. What's your team's future? And what's the outlook for the Giants for fantasy?
I still think we bring in a quarterback to challenge Daniel Jones. My top thing is still probably Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, we could make a run after Jimmy G. I don't know if we do that. I'd rather not give up much capital, and I think we'd have to give up more. Is Trubisky a free agent?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we might just try to get him in, see how he does with Dable and everything. Maybe we have a potential QB that could give us better chance than Daniel Jones. But as far as listening to trade offer for all these players, yeah. There's no one really on the team that's a difference maker at any position. I mean, we have a lot of wide receivers. I would say hang on to Kadarius Toney. I think that kid's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was our first round draft pick last year. But if someone comes at us with a first rounder and maybe a player or something for him, I doubt they would. And that's exactly what Joe Schoen said. He's like, he's not saying he would trade everybody, but he will listen to every offer. And I think it's the smart move right now. I really do.
Okay, now what would Saquon Barkley's fantasy prospects look like on another team? Would it be an improvement for him, or are we going to see disappointment again this year from him?
Well, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about the teams because he's going to want a contract, obviously.
Yep.
So a team is going to have the space to take on a running back. He probably won't be paid as one of the top running backs in the league, but top 5, 7. I'm sure he'd get that type of money. He's not getting Christian McCaffrey money or Zeke money. He's been too injured.
Should he get traded, what teams do you think would be looking at him potentially?
Well, I was looking at the places with the most cap spaces that caught my eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the very top one on the list with like $60 million in cap space is the Dolphins. And they're a team that I think could use a potential, superstar running back. Because let's not get it twisted. Yes, he's been injured and had some down years, but he's had some down years with the Giants, and the whole offense has been down. Mm-hmm. You put him in this offense with the Dolphins with Tua, Jalen Waddle, you start getting creative, opening things up a little bit. You could see Saquon be, maybe not quite rookie year Saquon, but really good Saquon. Again,
I think that's an excellent fit. And when we get into these, I wouldn't say predictions for free agents, but best fantasy fits, you'll see some of these running backs are going to be slotted, I believe, to the Dolphins. So that's where I picked them in a lot of places for their best potential picks.
I have one wild scenario. Okay. This is my wild scenario.
You going to save that for later in the show?
Nope, because it's pertaining to Barkley.
Go ahead.
And it doesn't really have to do with a free agent, really. The Seattle Seahawks have $34 million in cap space.
Yep.
Russell Wilson, that whole situation, he's been kind of hinting he might want out, yada, yada, yada. Pete Carroll loves to run the football. I could see a potential, maybe Giants give up Saquon, one of our first rounders, maybe a second rounder, and we get Russ in return. I mean, probably not going to happen, but just something that would be a wild turn of events.
If that insane scenario was happening, they would need something in return, and it would be, I think, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and probably 2 first-round picks in that scenario.
I don't think it'd be 2, just because.
Oh, I do.
Russell Wilson is, 30-something at this point?
Oh, I think you'd be giving up the farm for him. I wouldn't be surprised if you were throwing in the 3rd pick for him, too. Potentially 2 firsts and the 3rd, something like that. I really believe that you would have to sell the farm to bring him in.
Personally, I don't know if I want that. I like Russell Wilson as a quarterback, but, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes he just doesn't seem like he's the Russell Wilson of old anymore.
All I know is Seattle would string you up for value because they know long-term you're probably not looking to sign Saquon Barkley now. You've been talking about trading him. And yet Daniel Jones probably isn't going to get his 5th-year option. So,
right.
It would, like I said, cost you the house. So, with that surmising a little bit, too, let's get into the, like I said, other plethora of news that we got. There was an interesting rumor out this week. Apparently, we need to hit the drop again. Or did you just forget that we were already in the news?
I was trying to mute my mic, but apparently spacebar just does the last button that you push. So
you might want to physically actually do that with your mouse next time. All right, the next little bit of news I had was an interesting rumor that came out this week that the Miami Dolphins, before Sean Payton decided to retire and they fired their head coach, was thinking about bringing in Sean Payton and pairing him with Mr. Tom Brady if he was made available by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after he retired. Does this just show that they really don't believe in Tua Tagovailoa, and are they still open to options, or are they finally going to sell out and believe in this kid? It just seems like there's always a new rumor going out there with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they're not believing in Tua. It's only his second year. He was injured for most of the second year, but he won. He's done nothing but really win since he's been a starter in this league. You know what I mean? It hasn't always been pretty. A lot of times, like in his rookie year, a lot of times the defense bailed him out a little bit, but winning's winning. And it's something QBs have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Garoppolo, say all you will, he went from Bill Belichick to Kyle Shanahan. He's a winner. He wins games. Like, yes, he loses some games too, but like his career record shows the kid's a winner. So I don't understand. But obviously, if you can bring in Tom Brady, it doesn't. All bets are off.
But let me just say, this is in the realm of absolute fantasy, oddly enough, because we're talking about fantasy football here. The Bucs came out in a report today saying even if Tom Brady wanted to come back, they would not entertain shipping him off to anywhere else and helping him get anywhere else. They said if he's coming back and playing, it's for the Bucs. They said the door is always open for him should he want back. And it's kind of interesting, too, because they said, well, Kyle Trask could start potentially this year. It doesn't sound like they're looking potentially at big options then, too, if they want to leave the door open for Tom Brady. Do you think they're going to go with a lower end option and hope that he comes back, or is this just hoping he changes his mind really quick?
Bruce Arians said that he wouldn't trade Tom Brady, but I don't know if people know this. The head coach doesn't run the team. Okay, there's a general manager. They generally run the team. Unless you're Bill Belichick, the general manager runs the team. And the general manager said that he would do right by Brady. So if Brady wanted to trade, I'm pretty sure the general manager would trade him. Not to mention, he could probably still get, and this is ridiculous to say, he could probably still get a first-round pick for Tom Brady.
I don't think it's ridiculous to say. Speaking of other GMs that may need to pay quarterbacks soon, is there any chance that Kyler Murray becomes a top 3 paid quarterback in this league, like reportedly his agent says he wants him to be? Is this the reason why he's been throwing all the temper tantrums?
That man needs to play football and stop it. He just now got eligible for, like I was listening today, they can literally hold him under contract, if you include a franchise tag, for 3 more years. And he's already doing all this posturing for a new freaking deal. Like, stop it. You haven't done anything. What have you done?
He wants to be the next $500 million man.
He's done nothing. Like, I love him for fantasy because of his rushing upside, but in the NFL, he has legitimately done nothing. He's made it to 1 playoff game, and he played like shit in it. Like, get over yourself, buddy. Do something, and then get your money.
Okay, unlike that quarterback that hasn't played in the league very long, Ryan Fitzpatrick has played in this league for a very long time. And according to reports, he's going to be staying by the phone, ready to play at any point. Is this someone the Giants can look at?
I love Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Me too.
I mean, depends on it depends on where our team's at, what he's asking. Like, it could be. There's worse quarterback to have on your roster than Ryan Fitzpatrick. At least he makes your team fun, you know?
Yeah, it really is fun. I did like him when he was on the Jets, too.
Yeah.
What's his best fantasy fit should a job open up here?
Tampa Bay.
Going back to the Bucs?
Going back to the Bucs.
I don't think that would close the door to Tom Brady coming back, too, should he get the itch to want to play.
I think that's better than Kyle.
Again.
It's probably better than Kyle Trask. I can't say for sure. I've never seen Kyle Trask play football.
I believe it would be better than Kyle Trask. I don't think Kyle Trask
you might be able to
going to be a good starter.
You know, you bring Fitzpatrick back, you might be able to get Godwin back. You know, they've played together before. And he made everybody on that team fantasy relevant. So, I mean, I think that'd be a great fit.
Okay. So we haven't even gotten to free agency yet. And, of course, on cue, just like it is before every scouting combine, Malik Willis is being talked about by reports. Todd McShay said he's more athletic, more dynamic, and has a stronger arm than Jalen Hurts. Is this the kid that's going to eventually rise to the cream of the top and be a top 10 pick this year? It seems to always be one in weak quarterback classes.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Giants will take him. I've heard good things about Malik Willis. I've heard, you just said that about Jalen Hurts. I've heard people compare his athleticism to Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Arm strength, not quite as good as Josh Allen, but still really good arm strength. I wouldn't be upset if they brought in a rookie and tried redshirting him for the year. Maybe get rid of Daniel Jones. Maybe if you could trade him for anything to someone. At this point, get what you can for him,
You're going to take the Zach Wilson approach and give up on your boy in 2 or 3 years?
The only difference is, I don't think we would get as much for Daniel Jones as you guys got for Sam Darnold.
I don't think you would either.
And that seems weird to me because...
Why? Daniel Jones sucks.
Yeah, but Sam Darnold didn't play very well either.
He played better than Daniel Jones.
Did he?
He did.
I think Daniel Jones get a bad rap just because of all of the fumbles.
And all the media hype saying he sucks.
Most of that's because of the fumbles, though. You do 20 fumbles in a year and lose half of them, you're going to be talked about as a bad quarterback.
Malik Willis is really interesting, especially in Dynasty formats, because his ability to run, his ability to have a cannon of an arm, but I think he's a little bit of a project. We're very, very early in this process, and he's not even being talked about in the top 10 right now, but you're starting to see the talking starting, and these quarterbacks always rise.
Always.
Do not be shocked if by the end of this, you have a team as high as 2 in the Detroit Lions taking a quarterback, and then some of these more talented outside linebackers falling, or defensive ends, depending on the position.
Offensive linemen.
Yeah, actually falling in this draft. I would not be shocked to see Detroit taking a quarterback, whether
Honestly,
it be him or someone else at the number 2 position.
I think Detroit should just take another offensive lineman. They got Penei Sewell last year. Jared Goff, while he's not a showstopper of a quarterback, he's probably better than most of the rookies coming out of this class, at least now.
So maybe a defensive end, Aiden Hutchinson, or an offensive lineman, and Akeem Ekwonu.
Yeah, I would say offensive lineman. Build up that offensive line. That's how a lot of teams that don't have a lot of great weapons can win games if you have a great offensive line. Look at the Dallas Cowboys. How long they were just, contenders because their offensive line was phenomenal.
And maybe it'll help out that running game for fantasy football.
Right.
Like I said, though, I do ultimately think Malik Willis will rise to the top in this draft class. That's a very early prediction, and we still haven't even gone through the scouting combine. But, I just had to get that out of the way because I am a Liberty homer. It's going to be fun. We'll get to the sabotage mock draft. But I'm a Liberty homer, so I had to talk about here in a little bit, too. Our next little bit of news, too. Marquez Valdes-Scantling was reported to probably in the future be too expensive for the Packers to re-sign.
How?
Because they think he's going to get money. Is there any validity here? And could he be a wide receiver 2 somewhere else?
If he's thinking he's going to get wide receiver 1 money, that'd be crazy for any team.
There's absolutely no way he would get that much money. But could it be an outside starting wide receiver 2 for someone else?
My thing, if he's smart and Aaron Rodgers is still in Green Bay, take the deal and stay with Aaron Rodgers as long as you can, because he's going to make you look a lot better than you actually are.
And the Packers at this current time are front-loading contracts to free up cap space, so they'll have a little bit of money to pay you, I think. They're still figuring some contracts out, but I don't believe they're done on that front, too.
He should take a 1-year deal, and if Aaron Rodgers is back. If not, go test free agency and try something. But
he do anything for fantasy next year, or is he going to be inconsistent like the last 2 years?
I mean, he'll probably be inconsistent, honestly. I mean, he was a little bit better this past year, so maybe he takes another leap, but I don't know.
Okay. Is Michael Thomas restructuring his deal going to be a deal breaker for him being moved from the Saints? Is he going to remain there?
I feel like they want to keep him. I'm guessing if someone comes up to them with a great offer, they're not going to say no, because that team is probably in a rebuild. Alvin Kamara, who knows what's going to happen. Plus, he's getting older. Outside of Michael Thomas, they don't have much for wide receivers. Quarterback is who knows at this point. Jameis Winston's a free agent. So I think if someone came with something great or that they seemed was a decent price, I think they would trade him, but I don't think they're actively trading him.
Now that he has been deemed healthy, based on volume and his current age of 28, any chance he returns to wide receiver 1 numbers?
I think it'd be low I would say top 15. Like you said, just off of volume alone. If Jameis Winston is the starter, we've seen Jameis Winston throw for 5,000 yards. And Michael Thomas could, I'm not saying he couldn't pop up there with Jameis Winston, but 100% depends on his quarterback.
Could be a rookie.
Could be a rookie. If it's Jameis Winston, he might be a little bit higher up there. But
okay. With that, let's move into the tight end position. There's specifically 2 I wanted to talk about. This is the rumor part of the offseason right before free agency. There's a report out there that the Browns are prepared to pay David Njoku double digits in the millions. That means $10 million plus a year. Do you see them dropping this kind of cash? And would he have any fantasy value if he stayed with the Browns?
Didn't they just pay Austin Hooper? Who was it? Hooper. Didn't they just pay him a lot of money?
They did.
I feel like they're going to want to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and I get it. You want to be run heavy. It's hard. If you have 2, unless you're Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, that couple years, having 2 tight ends on a roster, on the field consistently is difficult. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. We have all the proof we need now that it was his fault in the whole Odell Beckham thing. We have all the proof we need. I don't think anybody could say, nope, it was Odell's fault. I don't think he could support many fantasy options. So for fantasy, I don't like it.
Is Mike Gesicki going to get the franchise tag from the Dolphins? Is there a part out there he could?
Maybe. I mean, he's a good athletic tight end. They're hard to find.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say he was, elite or anything like that.
All right, fair enough. Jarvis Landry, speaking of the Browns, we just kind of skipped over that, and I went with the fish first and right back to the Browns, I guess. Is meeting with the Browns to restructure a deal? You think they'll get something done, or is Jarvis Landry going to end up being cut?
I thought I heard something like he didn't want to restructure his deal.
I might be wrong in this report then, but I think I saw that he was at least meeting with them. Maybe we'll have to
I think he was meeting with them, but I think he was like, I don't want to do it, though.
Well, if I was getting paid as much as he was and underproducing, I wouldn't want to restructure either.
Yeah. He'd probably rather just walk and hopefully he can land on a team. Think about it if he went to, the Chiefs, who desperately need a wide receiver too. They made do with Pringle and Hardman and all that, but none of them were and not to throw shade at Baker Mayfield again, but look what Odell did when he went to a competent quarterback. Let's see what Jarvis Landry can do when he goes back to a competent quarterback.
All right, we'll move on for the Browns now. So Stephen Jones from the Cowboys, that's the son of Jerry Jones, said that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be with the team in the immediate future. However, he would not make a comment on Amari Cooper, and he said he would evaluate it this offseason. Is Amari Cooper's days in Dallas numbered, whether that be him being cut or traded this offseason?
I don't think he can be caught. I think Amari Cooper's contract is still very much a cap hit if they caught him.
The beat writers have been talking about him getting cut, so I think there is an avenue for them to, but they believe they would still have to eat a little bit of salary to do it.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because Michael Gallup is already a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I would rather have Amari Cooper, I think, than Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's constantly injured. Yeah, Michael Gallup might be cheaper, but I think you roll with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb if you can. Like, give Dak all the weapons you can.
The only issue here is that they're dealing with salary cap issues, and they have a lot of defensive players they have to re-sign. I've heard that Randy Gregory is their number one priority, and he is going to cost a fortune for them to bring back.
Oh, wow, yeah. What I'm looking at is they're $22 million over the cap.
So they've got some maneuvering to do if they want to keep all these players.
Yep.
Okay, and then the Athletic is also getting into rumor season 2. They think that the Seahawks could get an early first-round pick for DK Metcalf. I tend to think this is bullshit, and they're not going to move off him in any fashion. I would love to see him in the green and white, but I don't think they're going to move on from him. Is this just something to throw right in the trash?
Yes.
Would you like to see it for fantasy, though?
Him to the green and white? No, I would not like to see that for fantasy.
Okay, and then Adam Beasley, another beat reporter for the Cardinals, listed them as a spot for Gronk. Would that make Kyler Murray happy and be good for fantasy football?
I don't know. I think Gronk is only going to go to a place where he thinks they can win a championship. And there's very few places like that left. Maybe the Bills. Maybe he'll go home and play for the Bills. But I don't know. I think Gronk will probably just end up hanging him up.
Okay, and the last little bit of news I've got here to throw water on your magnificent Daniel Jones trade is the Seahawks are not expected to enter trade Russell Wilson trades unless they have better options. And I'm just saying here, Daniel Jones is not a better option, so your dream is a pipe dream.
No, it wasn't a dream. It was just a wild thing that could happen.
Okay, are we ready to get into these free agent takes?
Let's do it.
Thanks for bringing us into that segment there, Coach Case. So what position would you like to cover first tonight, Ron? Would you like to go over the receivers and where our favorite fit for them for fantasy football would be, or would you like to go into the running backs? Because I've got lots of them down this list, and we can roll right into it.
Let's roll with running backs first.
All right, so let's go right from the top here. So where is your favorite fit for Cordell Patterson for fantasy football?
Cordell Patterson?
Yes, sir.
I would like to see him go absolutely nowhere. That way I don't have to keep instructing people to not draft him.
So you'd like him to stay unemployed or in Atlanta?
Yep, unemployed.
Ultimately, he's not going to stay unemployed. I made a YouTube short yesterday saying that the death of fantasy football would be Cordell Patterson going to the 49ers, which was the rumor. Very early in the offseason, too, he would take away value from Deebo Samuel and take away value from Elijah Mitchell. It would just be an awful fit for fantasy football. Probably good for the 49ers until he would start halfway through the season. So I really do not want to see that. So you honestly have no fit you'd like to see Cordell Patterson then?
No, because I think this was a one-year thing. I don't think it was literally the Falcons had nobody else. They had Mike Davis at running back, and they were rolling with Russell Gage as their top wide receiver most years. They had nobody else. You plug him into any other situation where they have any significant piece, he's not going to do anything for fantasy.
There is one team he would intrigue me at, and it's one that you mentioned earlier. specifically for Saquon Barkley. I think he'd be an interesting piece for the Miami Dolphins for the fact that Tua, well, accurate in the short game. I think he would be the number one running back on that team. They don't really like anyone in their stable, I don't believe, and he would get the lead role. I think he would break down halfway through the season, but I can see him being at least relevant for you for maybe half a year.
I don't even think he would. They may not like the other people in their stable, but they've got people that can do it. That Salvin Ahmed played well. Who's the other one? What's
Gaskins?
Gaskin. Like, he played well. Like, both those guys are better than Mike Davis. Like, he may play well. He may have some fantasy relevant weeks, but it's going to be one of those situations where you're not going to know when it's going to be. Even with the Dolphins running backs they had last year, you never know who it was going to be.
So you're not even willing to entertain where he's going to go for fantasy to run Cordell Patterson protest?
Right, because the best place for him to go with fantasy would be retirement. That would be the best place for him to go for fantasy. That's my stance, man. Retire.
All right, let's move on to our next running back then. And out of the retirement home. I hope you don't want Leonard Fournette to retire.
No, Leonard Fournette, I think, still could do pretty good. God, he needs to go somewhere. I would like to see him. Well, I would like to see him back on the Bucs, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's go Texans.
You son of a bitch, that was mine.
Texans.
I said only Rex Burkhead was there.
Yeah. Let's go with the Texans. I think he would help that run game a lot.
You asshole! I felt like a genius when I wrote them down on here. And I'm not bullshitting. I will show you. It was on here. They're right there.
Yeah, there's words. I can't read it.
There's words.
But there's words.
You can zoom in on it later.
Oh, thanks.
Anyway, why would he be a good fit for the Texans in fantasy football?
Just like you said, they don't have anybody else. He's a power runner. Mm-hmm. They're definitely their plan is still going to run the ball a lot, especially if they're still rolling with Davis Mills. He played very well last year. I'm not going to take anything away from Davis Mills, but he's going to benefit from a strong run game. And Leonard Fournette, I think, would give you a strong run game.
I agree with those sentiments, too. The Texans, I think, will obviously look to improve the offensive line, as any team in the offseason will, too. I think he would be a great fit there, and he would absolutely be their bell cow. Whether a Super Bowl winning running back from 2 years ago would want to go and play for the Texans, I'm not quite sure, but you throw the bag at anyone, they're willing to go anywhere.
Yep.
What about James Conner? James Conner got something left in the tank for a fantasy football team?
I think so, but, I mean, he definitely needs to go to like a committee situation. He is, I don't want to say injury prone, but he is prone to injury.
Not quite glass, but prone to injury.
I did hear a thing today that kind of intrigued me. Wouldn't be super great for fantasy, but could be helpful. And I'm going with the Bills. Pair him with Devin Singletary.
Okay.
And I think James Conner, if he stays healthy, would be better than Singletary and would end up stealing the job.
All right, I'm just going to flat out say this. James Conner's best fit is staying with the Arizona Cardinals here. I don't believe Chase Edmonds is going to be back, and he could retain his bell cow role. Actually, they have Eno Benjamin? I believe is his name. I believe
Eno.
It was a young. What's that?
Eno Benjamin, I think.
Yes. Yeah, he is explosive, and I believe they're going to want to get him out of the field more. But James Conner is the veteran with experience. I believe would take the starting role there. And I think him staying with Arizona keeps him relevant as a running back too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Arizona Cardinals may try to keep him there. He might want a little bit more than they want to pay, or he might take the hometown discount.
Okay. All right, what about his field mate back there, Chase Edmonds? Is his fit back with the Arizona Cardinals, or are you sending him somewhere else for fantasy?
I feel like they'll keep one of them, and I think James Conner will probably be the one to walk. So let's say Chase Edmonds stays with the Cardinals.
How relevant if he stays with the Cardinals?
He'll be a top 24 off of production alone. Just how much he gets, the carries, the receiving work.
Any chance both of these guys walk and Benjamin becomes relevant?
It could happen. It depends on how they feel about really. But I think they want two of them.
Yeah, we'll pump the brakes on that too. I just fell in love with him with one play he had last year. So, as did everyone, I think. So don't worry. We're not, throwing the Benjamin tractor trailer at you yet. No pun intended.
Not yet. We're not that far enough into. Hold on, wait. I got about.
Yeah, no, we're not that far to be
Joe will extrapolate that one carry over a whole season.
I will. All right. What about Sony Michel? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get my fit for Chase Edmonds.
You didn't.
My interesting fit with him would be to stay in the division and get revenge on the Arizona Cardinals, pairing him with the Seattle Seahawks. Listen, they have a backfield where they have a running back coming off of neck injury. Rashaad Penny is a free agent, may not even return. So why not him stay in division and go play with Russell Wilson up there in Seattle? I think it'd be a great fantasy fit for him, and I think he could carve a role out there for himself.
It's possible. I do think the Seahawks bring back Rashaad Penny. They were high on this kid coming out of the draft, but he just was always injured. And he showed at the
Go ahead.
He showed at the end of last year how productive he could be when he's healthy. Mm-hmm. He was great.
I could just see Rashaad Penny getting the bag and then looking for a cheaper option, and a veteran like Chase Edmonds could be a little bit cheaper for them. And the Seattle Seahawks look to bring in a stable running backs because they look to establish the run. So why not put himself in a potentially good fantasy backfield where
my only thing
take the lead?
Chase Edmonds is more of like a pass catching scat type back.
They do that there.
Well, they prefer the pounders. So honestly, if either one of the Cardinals running backs went to Seattle, I would see James Conner more of a fit for that also than Chase Edmonds. Not saying they wouldn't go after him, but I don't think he fits the style of football they want to play.
Okay. What's Sony Michel's ultimate fit for fantasy? He had a few fantasy relevant games last year.
Oh, yeah, he had plenty. He was the guy really until Cam Akers ended up coming back, and then they just wanted to force feed Cam Akers. I think, I feel like the Rams are going to want to try to bring back as many people as they can, and I'm wondering how many of them take hometown deals to stay there.
So this would be the optimal fantasy pick for him. So I don't think you could really pick the Rams if you think they're going to bring in 3 guys.
Yeah, no. Sony Michel. I'm trying to think of like running back needy teams.
Do you want me to give you a minute and I will tell you mine?
Yeah, go ahead with yours.
So I think the optimal fit for Sony Michel would be, if Cordell Patterson left, would be the Falcons. There is a big void there with a veteran quarterback who I believe they're not going to get out of his contract with Matt Ryan up there. And why not bring in Sony Michel, who's proven? They obviously like veterans there. They already have a plotter in Mike Davis. So bring in the more talented young running backs. So I think Sony Michel would be a good fantasy fit for the Atlanta Falcons.
I like that. I do like that. Yeah, that's a good one. I really like Sony Michel to the Falcons. I do think the Falcons draft, I've heard a lot of talk about them possibly taking like Isaiah Spiller in the second round.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and I think that would be a great fit.
I think that would be a great fit. How about Sony Michel? This wouldn't be great for fantasy, but I could see it happening. The Raiders backing up Josh Jacobs.
Well, he would still have some fantasy relevance there. The backups for the Raiders have had relevancy because, they're the change of pace there. Mm-hmm. For some stupid reason, they don't trust Josh Jacobs as a 3-down back there, which makes no sense because they win when he's a 3-down back.
Yep.
So he could find relevancy there, although there is a new coaching staff there.
Yeah. So
that will probably change. So, it could be a decent fit.
It could be, yeah.
I would tend to swing more for the Falcons here.
I'd say the Falcons would be a great fit. Yeah.
Okay. What about Melvin Gordon here? He's a good running back that could potentially be on the market.
Yeah. The only problem with Melvin Gordon is he's getting older. He could fall off at any moment. I know the Broncos have already started talking like they want Melvin Gordon back. They don't want to lose him, which would suck because if he was gone, Javonte Williams' value would just skyrocket through the goddamn roof. Melvin Gordon. Who's a good team? The Chiefs. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire thing has not worked out crazy how they like it. They could bring in Melvin Gordon as a 1-2 punch with him.
Okay.
And he could actually probably take over that number 1 job over CEH if he's still got the juice left.
I like your thoughts here on 1 or 2 punches. So let me give you a little trip down memory lane here, okay? Many, many years ago.
Do we have the ripple effect?
Yeah, there's definitely the. Can you just see me flavoring because I'm excited to give this take here? Back in 2009 and 10, there was a stable running back for the New York Jets. It started with Sean Green, and they brought in LaDainian Tomlinson to help him out as a veteran here. There's a young Michael Carter now, and they're going to be looking to bring in, I believe, a veteran running back to help the stable. So why not bring in Melvin Gordon and just pound the rock with 1 and 2 right there? And he could definitely have fantasy relevant value behind what is going to be, I believe, a top 10 offensive line because they're going to continue to improve it this offseason. So why not have Melvin Gordon go to the New York Jets and be the veteran of that backfield?
What pick do the Jets have?
The new LaDainian Tomlinson. Yep, number 4 and number 10.
Watch them at number 4 take another offensive lineman.
Akeem Ekwonu.
Yeah. And just have over 3 years, 3 early first-round offensive linemen on that freaking line.
Well, think about how interesting that would be. Okay, so you have Mekhi Becton on one side, and you have George Tran on the other. You don't know if you can really trust Mekhi Becton necessarily, who's very talented because he's coming off injury. So what you do is you play Akeem Ekwonu at right guard. You let these 2 young studs in Mekhi and Fant duke it out for left tackle. Loser goes to right tackle. If one of them sucks, you move Akeem Ekwonu to right tackle after that because that's his natural position, but he can play right guard. And if it shows that Mekhi Becton's playing well, you can let Fant go and play him on that side. But Fant played excellent, so if Mekhi sucks, he plays guard, and you have 3 great linemen there. And think about him, Michael Carter, and Melvin Gordon running behind there. It sounds like a future playoff team to me. Not next year, but maybe the year after. So I like Melvin Gordon to the Jets for fantasy football.
No, that would be good. Melvin Gordon to the Jets would be a good one.
Okay, so someone who I think might get the bag, based on the fact he didn't get his 5th-year option picked up, Rashaad Penny. Where's Rashaad Penny's best fantasy fit?
Right back with the Seahawks.
I think there's a better fit for him.
Go ahead with that.
That fit for me is the New Orleans Saints. So I understand, have no money. They have absolutely no money. They're going to have to move some stuff around. But they've got real problems at the running back position for the fact that they don't even know if their starting running back's going to be able to play for them this year. So don't get me wrong. They, like I said, have no money. They would have to move some things around. But why not bring in Rashaad Penny? I mean, he could be your bell cow. He showed that he can be a bell cow. You might not have a better option than bringing in Rashaad Penny. So Rashaad Penny would be optimal for the New Orleans Saints. Is it realistic they necessarily bring him in? Maybe not, but I would try to find a way to get him on that team if I could.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad, but I don't know. We'll see. It all depends on Alvin Kamara. They definitely like to do the 1-2 punch there also. Mm-hmm. And they're one of the teams that'll probably run heavy. You know, their quarterback situation is murky at the moment. Anywhere he goes where he can be the bell cow, though, would be perfect for my dynasty team.
Okay. Very quickly, lightning round. Marlon Mack, Justin Jackson, J.D. McKissick. Picks where?
Unfortunately, J.D. McKissick is probably going to re-sign with the Commanders.
I would like him to go to the Baltimore Ravens. I think that'd be a good fit for him. Justin Jackson.
He's not going to go to the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be having Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins back. What was the other one?
Justin Jackson.
Nowhere of relevance. He's not going to get any type of fantasy relevance no matter where he goes.
Washington Commanders. Marlon Mack.
Same. Probably won't get much.
No relevance unless the 49ers backfield does what it does every year and gets hurt, and then he potentially starts there. They seem to like to bring in all the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, any of these guys can have relevance if they're thrust into a starting role. But
well, that's how you get thrust in a starting role. You just start in the 49ers backfield.
Right.
Okay, yeah. With that, let's move on to the wide receivers. All right, there is a big one staring everyone in the face. I believe he's going to get franchise tag, but he still hasn't to this point, unless a miracle happens. Davante Adams, what's his fit? I think we're both going to be in agreement here.
He's probably going to get franchise tagged.
All right, so the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Should Aaron Rodgers stay there?
Yep.
All right, so let's move on quickly from that. What is Chris Godwin's optimal fit for fantasy football?
Man, that's a tough one. I could see the Falcons making a play for him. They're in need of wide receiver.
Especially if they trade Calvin Ridley.
Especially if they trade Calvin Ridley. I mean, even if they don't trade Calvin Ridley, they still need another wide receiver. So I think the Falcons would be a good one. I mean, Matt Ryan is getting older. He's not the best, but he can support a fantasy relevant wide receiver. Or two, even.
I mean, another team that really needs a wide receiver is the Colts. They have space there. I can see him going on the other side on a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yep.
They could pay him a lot of money there, and he would look great paired off on the other side. I don't know if it'll be Carson Wentz throwing the ball there, but I believe they're going to bring in a veteran. My gut's telling me it'll either be Carson Wentz or Jimmy Garoppolo playing for them. That's probably my best guess. So
I think the Lions would probably could make a push at one of these wide receivers, but I don't know which one would actually want to go there.
I believe you dropped him. Did you drop him or Mike Williams to the Lions last week?
Whom? Chris Godwin?
Yes. Or was it Mike Williams that you dropped to the Lions?
I don't remember.
Just a scenario.
That was so long ago.
Okay. Well, we'll get into Mike Williams now.
Okay.
What is his optimal fit for fantasy football?
His optimal fit would probably be going back to the Chargers, but I don't think that's happening. Their young rookie last year, Josh Palmer, played really well, and I think they're probably going to move forward with him and Keenan Allen. Mike Williams, the Raiders.
You son of a bitch. I was going to say the same thing because it's a divisional opponent. They're in big need of a wide receiver now.
They are in big need of a wide receiver.
Especially a deep threat. Deshaun Jackson's going to be leaving. He did not work out after their young Mr. Ruggs left to go to other endeavors. Yeah, I think he would be a great fit there, and they would tear them away from a divisional opponent, and he could play the Chargers twice a year.
Well, and it gives Derek Carr a nice big wide receiver to throw the ball to.
And he's a proven quarterback. He could make use of Mike Williams there. I think he'd be a great fantasy fit. I could see Mike Williams being a lower-end wide receiver 2 there. I don't think he's going to send a wide receiver 1 numbers like he did early in the season last year. He's kind of hit or miss, and I think you'll kind of see that going into next year too.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think the Raiders would be an absolute great fit here. What about Odell Beckham?
That's going to be a difficult one, mainly because of the ACL tear. I think he takes a team-friendly deal and stays with the Rams. I don't think he tries to do anything. I think he takes a 1-year, pretty minimalistic deal to stay with the Rams, hopefully have a great second half of the season again after he comes back fully from his ACL, and then hope the next offseason maybe he can get a bigger deal.
Listen, Odell Beckham, I believe, is actually not going to play even if he makes opening day, I don't believe he's going to be very relevant for a few weeks. It's hard to come back from these kind of injuries. But listen, you just won a Super Bowl with the Rams. The only logical fit, and especially if you're fantasy, would be Odell going to the Rams. He played well there. I believe they would pay him again. I don't know how they would fit it in right now, but in a year or two, who knows? The logical fit would be to get the 1-year contract with the Rams right now, and then look to maybe get a 2 or 3 year contract after that.
And for the heckling fandom, for the heckling fandom,
I'm glad you fixed that.
Do not draft Odell Beckham next year. Do not draft him. Let someone else do it, and then wait 4 or 5 weeks. Odell Beckham's injured, maybe first coming back, not doing much. Wait for him to drop him, or for or trade him for real cheap, because I think the second half of next season, if he's back with the Rams, he'll explode the second half of next season again.
All right, that's a fair take. I actually don't hate that take. Odell Beckham always has that star power, and he's always overdrafted for that reason.
Yep. Especially after the offseason he just had. If they're saying he's ready for week 1, people are going to draft him wildly early.
Okay, speaking of people who I believe are not going to be drafted wildly early, Allen Robinson had a weird year. What's his optimal fit for fantasy football, and can he return to relevancy?
I think he can, but he has to go somewhere where he's the number 1. He's another one that could go in division to the Lions, or I was also going to say, or the Packers.
Yeah, I was going to say the Packers.
A nice secondary option with Devontae Adams. If they get Rodgers to come back, they're really going to make a push to go all in. And Allen Robinson is a number 2 wide receiver on a team, could be very fantasy.
With Devontae Adams, would nothing piss JJ LaPlante more than watching Aaron Rodgers come back to the Green Bay Packers when he thought he was going to leave this year, and then Allen Robinson, who did absolutely nothing for his team this year, just absolutely torch him when he comes back to play for Chicago?
Yeah,
it's the ultimate nightmare scenario for him.
Yeah, he would not be impressed, and it would be great for the rest of us.
I kind of hope it happens now. So my ultimate fantasy fit, and I kind of hope it happens in free agency, is Allen Robinson to the Packers. And I believe he would be a wide receiver 2 should he end up on the Packers. Michael Gallup, who is also injured. There's a lot of injured wide receivers on this list.
I know. Yeah, a lot of the free agent wide receivers are injured. It makes it very murky.
Should that injury heal? What's his fit?
Michael Gallup, man, he always showed promise, but he's never put together a full season. That makes it difficult. He's going to have to take a smaller deal, but it wouldn't shock me if he also went to the Raiders. They could do, because both him and Mike Williams, I don't think they're going to command superstar money. So the Raiders could potentially go and revamp their entire wide receiver corps, bring in Mike Williams and Michael Gallup, 2 bigger bodied guys that can outmuscle people and give Derek Carr big bodies to throw the ball to.
Listen, the ultimate fit for him is the Dallas Cowboys, for the reason I believe Amari Cooper is leaving. I believe Amari Cooper will leave, whether he is cut or traded. I believe they're going to try to bring back Gallup, who already has a good repertoire. He's younger. He plays well with Dak Prescott, and it would be good for fantasy football. That's a good offense. They're the top scoring offense in the league as of last year. So why not bring Michael Gallup back and try to run it back with him? You kind of got to go with what's known, and he's good in Dallas. So Michael Gallup to the Dallas Cowboys. Juju Smith-Schuster.
The best fit for him would be the Chiefs.
He's rumored to go there, so elaborate a little bit.
Well, he'd be a good slot person. Tyreek Hill, taking the top off defense. We already seen Juju's very good when he has an elite number 1 wide receiver, drawing defense's attention. And he's sure-handed. I mean, he's been really, down and out the past couple of years, but it was on a very stagnant Steelers offense. Mm-hmm. Big Ben hyper targets one person, and it just happened to be Deontay Johnson. So I think Juju with the Chiefs could be very good and definitely provide at least wide receiver 3 fantasy relevance.
What about Juju Smith-Schuster being hyper-targeted by Trevor Lawerance and the Jacksonville Jaguars? I think that'd be a great fit. Is Trevor Lawerance necessarily going to be a good quarterback next year? I don't know, but I believe he would target Juju Smith-Schuster a lot, and he would be relevant there.
See, I think what the problem is, though, I think we've found out that Juju can't be the number 1. And
he might be forced to be the number 1.
Well, that's what I mean, and that could be a problem. I mean, when he was the number 1, he couldn't break away from the coverage. He's a slot guy. He's the best in a slot role, and that's where he'd be needed.
But we're talking about the best fantasy fit for him. I don't believe Juju's going to ever go back to wide receiver 1 prominence. The best I could see him doing is wide receiver 2 prominence, and I believe just on sheer value, he could get that with Jacksonville. I'm not looking for him to be overly impressive, but he could be decent against a lot of targets.
Nobody in Jacksonville even came close to that last year. Wide receiver 2 barely. So I don't think Juju is that much better than those guys there, especially if he's drawing coverage from the best corner on the other team. Because statistically, he hasn't done good against the best corner.
Okay.
Or if people are rolling coverages his way.
All right, well, we already talked about Jacksonville wide receivers, so let's talk about the sneaky DJ Chark who's coming off an injury. He's a free agent. What's his best fit?
I didn't know he was coming to free agency. That's actually a pretty decent one. He's actually quite talented.
He is. How about the Cleveland Browns? They're in desperate need of a wide receiver.
God, I thought you said best fantasy fit. Don't give fucking Baker Mayfield any goddamn wide receivers.
Well, he might be the only one there if they cut Jarvis Landry, so why not
the
Cleveland Browns?
Bears? No, the Bears.
Ooh, actually,
I like DJ Chark to the Bears. Give Justin Field a really athletic kid to throw the ball to. Opposite Darnell Mooney. Yeah, let's go DJ Chark. I forgot the Bears need a wide receiver.
Oh, I could see JJ drinking that Kool-Aid. That might be a good fit.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's a lower end move that's kind of sneaky, and they're going to bring in someone. I don't know who they can afford, but someone's going to have to go there. So why not DJ Chark? What about Christian Kirk? I think he is very sneakily going to be one of the best 2 or 3 wide receiver free agents out of this class. I think he's going under the radar here.
I agree, but I think he's going to stay with the Cardinals. I don't think he goes anywhere. They're probably not going to have AJ Green again. Rondale Moore hasn't shown a lot. I mean, he's explosive, but he hasn't shown much other than that. D-Hop getting older. A little bit injury riddled last year. They're going to want to try to keep as many weapons as they can for Kyler Murray.
But here's the thing is you have to pay a lot of players, and is the Cardinals going to be able to play that? Listen, there is another wide receiver that specifically wants $9 million a year in this offseason. Also plays special teams, but I would much rather have him on the Jets. So why not bring Christian Kirk, who is a good, decent returner, is better than Braxton Berrios, and who I'd be willing to pay $9 million a year to. So Christian Kirk to the Jets to play wide receiver too.
Yeah,
I think that's a fantastic fit for fantasy.
My thing is,
and you can put him in gadget plays. So
if you were Christian Kirk and you were offered $9 million to go play for the Jets, or $7 million to go back to a team you already know that actually has a chance of being successful this year, you're probably going to go with the lower money but more successful team.
Okay, we'll throw $11 million at him then. We have a lot more money than Cardinals.
See, but I think he's just gonna end up staying with the Cardinals. Because I don't think anyone's gonna offer him. He hasn't done enough to, warrant a big contract.
He plays special teams. He's a good returner, and he's a good wide receiver, which he has shown to be enough. He does enough for you. He doesn't need to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver, but he's enough to warrant attention on the back end. The Jets don't need him to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver. Elijah Moore can do that. And on top of that, they have Corey Davis. He could be the third guy. They could draft a receiver in the second or third round if they brought in Christian Kirk. I think it would be a fantastic fit for fantasy football, and you could see him being a wide receiver too.
I just don't know if the Jets. First off, calm your roll. Zach Wilson is not going to be able to support a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2.
Sure, he will.
You are delusional. You are homerism on JJ LaPlante levels from last year right now.
It's my year for it.
Well, you need to pump the brakes, buddy.
Let's see what they get in free agency first.
I'm just trying to ease you back from a whole lot of heartbreak. Trust me, I know all about it.
At least you've had a few Super Bowls in your years. All right, Jamison Crowder. He's leaving the Jets, I think. So what's his fantasy fit? He's still a good wide receiver, I think.
Bills.
Dallas. They're going to need a third wide receiver when
they trade Amari Cooper.
That's correct. And they can sustain three wide receivers. We've seen it.
Is Cole Beasley a free agent?
I don't believe so.
I think he can be cut for cheap, though. I don't think he's got much of a cap hit.
They're not going to cut him. He's a Bills favorite, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that would be a good fit, though. The Bills, Jameson Crowder.
He'd be better in Dallas. Listen, they've got Davis there. They've got a number one already. They tend to run the ball with Josh Allen. I think you'd want a more pass-heavy offense, and I think that's going to be Dallas. Russell Gage.
Timeout. Did you just say that they would want a more pass-heavy offense than the Buffalo Bills?
Next year, yes. They're going to look to get a running back and be a more balanced offense. They're going to look to change it up a little bit.
They're going to try. They tried being more balanced this year. And then there was a game where they didn't run the ball until the third quarter.
Okay, that's kind of cute, but they're not going to just have Singletary and Moss this year. They're going to look to bring in someone else, so they're going to try it again, and the passing volume will go down. Right, I believe Dallas is going to have a higher passing volume than
they brought someone else in last year.
Okay, well, they're going to try it again because they need a different formula. Passing the ball on 3 downs, they still lost in the playoffs. They need a prominent running back for the playoffs to compete with the Chiefs. Just look for the formula to change, and that's what I think is going to happen. What?
I just shocked that you said that the Cowboys are with Zeke are the more pass heavy.
They're going to be.
That's just
they
wrong.
weren't last year.
Let's mark this down. What's the timestamp here? Hour and 1 minute.
1 hour and 1 minute.
I'm messaging JJ right now.
I believe Dallas is going to be more pass heavy than the Bills next year. I'm not saying it's going to go to success, but all right. Now that you've marked that take, and I'm sure it'll be on the Instagram later because that's a good
it's take. On the Insta. Yeah,
it's going on the Instagram.
That's
all
wild.
Right. Russell Gage.
He'll probably re-sign with the Falcons. They need to keep some people that are familiar with the system.
What about him with the Chargers? I think that would be a good fit. If they lose Mike Williams, I think Russell Gage would be a good fit. That's a offense that can sustain another weapon.
They might, but I don't think he'd be very fantasy relevant. I think the Chargers are going to roll with Keenan Allen, Joshua Palmer, and that Jalen Guyton. Joshua Palmer and Jalen Guyton showed very good flashes last year. They're both very young, so I think they're just going to roll with them three. They're not going to bring in someone else that's going to cost them money, really. If anything, they'll draft a wide receiver later in the draft.
Okay. 2 more wide receivers here. Braxton Berrios, what's his best fit? And is he going to even have fantasy relevance next year?
I think his best fit would be with the Jets. He's already got the rapport with Zach Wilson. He's got his role established there. Sign the deal, have a full season with the Jets. And, like you said, they're already losing Jameson Crowder. Who'd they get? Corey Davis? Was that their big one last year? Yeah. Corey Davis didn't play much. Elijah Moore is going to be the number 1 of that team.
Yep.
Braxton Berrios, like you said, he already knows the team. He already had some fantasy relevance on those weeks or in weeks. And I think, Zach Wilson was going to take a step forward. He could be a very good, low-end wide receiver 3 for a fantasy football team. That could give you upside if Elijah Mitchell or Elijah Moore gets injured.
As much as I hate this fit, Jets plucked him away from the New England Patriots, so Bill Belichick obviously saw something here. The best fit, I think, with him would be him going back to Bill Belichick and playing in that offense. Listen, that wide receiver room, it's got some talent, but there's not a number 1 there. He's not a number 1, but he could carve himself out a role there, play multiple positions. Like I said, be the gadget player. I think he could be very fantasy relevant if he ended up signing with the New England Patriots, as much as I can hate that.
The Patriots are low on cap space. And after what they did last season, it'd be hard for me to see them pay more money for an offensive weapon. They did what, 4 different offensive weapons last year?
2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Minimum.
So unless they go after like a big one, like a Chris Godwin type, you know what I mean? Unless they go after a big one and try to bring him in with like a lighter deal, just because playing with Bill Belichick or whatnot, I don't think they do much on the offensive side of the ball, skill position wise, at least in free agency.
All right. My last one, he's kind of an extra. He was a Thanksgiving wonder. Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys.
I think if they do get rid of Amari Cooper, they're going to want to keep Cedric Wilson. It's either they're going to keep Amari Cooper and get rid of Cedric Wilson and Michael Gallup, or they're going to get Michael Gallup, or they're going to lose Amari Cooper. I forgot where I was going, but it's going to be one or the other. Either they have Amari Cooper or they have the other two.
Well, with my little carousel of wide receivers here, the Atlanta Falcons have been left out of the room without a wide receiver. So why don't we throw Cedric Wilson to the Atlanta Falcons?
I just think they're going to make a bigger splash than that at wide receiver.
Or get
it wouldn't be
because nobody wants to go play for a 40-year-old quarterback a team that seems to be on the downturn.
Yeah. People could say, oh, they're on a downturn because they don't have the weapons.
Okay. With that, too, we had a trade in our Dynasty League, again on my part, so I just wanted to get your opinion really quick before we got out of here on it, okay? So I'm going to bring that up for the Heckling Fandom and tell me what you thought of that for Dynasty Football, okay? Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right, so on our little screen format, I'm going to put your face right. I'm putting your face up on the screen.
Let's do it this way.
Oh, God.
This is much better.
All right, so the trade that happened in our league, it was between me and Ryan. We seem to trade a lot with each other. It was Jalen Waddle for Devontae Smith and a 2022 first-round pick. What's your thoughts on this trade for Dynasty?
I think you gave up on Devonta Smith too early.
Elaborate a little bit.
Devontae Smith was the Heisman Trophy winner and, one of the top drafted wide receivers out of this class, showed flashes of, what he could do.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts is, hopefully going to take a step forward with his passing. Another offseason with these two working together. I don't hate the trade. Jalen Waddle, I think, is going to have a really good season also. But I think with I don't know what draft pick that was going to be.
The 8th pick.
The 8th pick. There's a lot of good wide receivers in this class coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You might have been able to hit gold with one of those, but I know you have a few other ones.
I have 2 of the first-round picks.
Yeah, so I don't hate it. You definitely had the capital. You could make a trade like this. Yeah, it's not a bad trade. I don't know if I would have done it personally, but it's not a bad trade.
Okay, so here's my logic for it. Jalen Hurts is an all right quarterback. Devontae Smith showed out all right. He was the best rookie wide receiver in Eagles history with over 900 yards. But I looked at Jalen Waddle's year this year, and he was a wide receiver who had a heavy volume of targets. Played well with a quarterback who I don't necessarily like and who I think the Dolphins are going to be looking to improve on over the next few years. I really see high wide receiver upside, one, with Jalen Waddle, and he is so young. He has proven what he could do last year, and I think the moon of Jalen Waddle right now. So
me too.
That's why I was willing to make this trade. I think Devontae Smith could be a borderline wide receiver 1. More of a wide receiver 2, but I really think there's a high ceiling with Jalen Waddle, and that's why I was willing to make this trade with so much draft capital. So I would do this again.
My thing is, if you didn't have the multiple first-round picks, I wouldn't like the trade. But because you still have 2 other first-round picks, there's nothing wrong with this trade.
JJ seemed to be a fan of this trade too.
Yeah.
So maybe when we see him on another episode, he'll have something to say about it.
Maybe. Depends on what it is.
So Heckling Fandom, if you have an opinion on this trade too, leave it in the comments below here, and we will get around to it. Who won this trade? Was it me or Ryan, the Jalen Waddle side, or for Devontae Smith in a first-round pick in Dynasty formats? Like and subscribe to the show. And Ron, where can you find the show if you actually like what you hear here?
Well, the best place to find us is right over at our website at www.garbagetimeff.com. All right? You'll get all the links over there that'll show you to our Spotify, the Apple, Google Podcast, Tunein Radio, Iheartradio, all of it. Make sure you like and subscribe on our videos right here on YouTube, Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Make sure you, at our website, you leave us the voicemails, hate mails, reviews. Review it everywhere. Spotify has it now, and on Apple. Joe, on the website, I know it does reviews right on the website. Does those reviews automatically go to Apple?
They do.
So that's the best way. The easiest and best way is just to go to our website, www.garbagetimeff.com. Got stuff over there. That's the best place to find to leave the reviews. You can leave us our voicemail questions with anything you want. Anything, literally. I mean, if you want them played on the air, they got to be, playable. We
They don't have to be clean by any means, but
no, they don't have to be clean. We don't fucking care about that. But I mean, you can't just go with like racial slurs and everything over and over. We're not going to play those.
Well, I would hope not. At least I'm not going to.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, so within reason, go ahead and leave us a voicemail.
Right, and there is also a rumor floating around this week that we may have an MMA podcast episode this week. What's that show called? Stop it. What's that show called?
Garbage Time presents the MMA Podcast.
I can't
you can
wait
find that right here on YouTube. I know.
You can?
Right here on YouTube.
I'm so excited.
Also have a link on our website, don't we?
We do, but I've got to fix that because we got rid of the Spotify. You're only going to be able to see it on YouTube now.
Well, they weren't important enough to us. They weren't performing enough for us to pay for all that.
But listen, if you want to win money on DraftKings or gambling now because it's legal in New York, listen to what Ryan Warner has to say about it. Maybe JJ if he gives an opinion too, because Ryan Warner tends to win money in that a lot.
Yeah.
And that's the boy you want. That's the boy you want to listen to for MMA podcast. So again, guys, like and subscribe to the videos here. Join the Heckling Fandom. And Ron, is there anything else you'd like to say to them before we get out of here tonight?
Nah. Have a wonderful day. And make sure you like and subscribe.
Let's do it. Good night, guys.
One at a time.